Good morning. Good morning and welcome to Friday. Again, bit of deja vu going on there. Feels like it anyway. Welcome. If you are there, as usual, please do pop a hello in the comments so that I know that I'm not talking to myself, although I'm not talking to myself because I can see the top of my husband's head over the top of the computer screen. So even if there's no one there, I'm talking to my husband and the dog. Good morning, Jay. Good morning, Sue. Good morning, Martina. Good morning, Earth Sage. Welcome. Welcome. It's grey today. It is grey and dreary in the south of England, which is not overly cheerful, but there you go. Good morning, Sue. Good morning, Helen. Oh, wow. Good morning, Gail. Good morning, Maria. Good morning, Kerry. Good morning, Christine. Good morning, Kerry. Good morning, Emma. Welcome, everyone. Just getting the computer screen so I can actually see everything. Good morning, Eva. Good morning, Christine. Aloha, Lisa. Good morning, Nikki. Daylight savings gone from an hour later. Yes. Yeah, daylight savings always throws everything, doesn't it? Including all the clocks in the house, because you forget which ones you've changed. And the cooker one that never changes. Although my new cooker syncs with your phone, so I can change the time on the cooker from my phone. How bizarre is that? Haven't actually got my phone to tell it to cook dinner yet, but I'm working on it. Maria, I'm sure that shirt is orange. Oh, it is red. I'm playing around with different webcams today. Yeah, it does look a little bit orange, doesn't it? It is red. I promise you it's red. It's the different webcams make things look different, don't they? Phone Pete. This is what happens when you share an office with your husband. Good morning, Lisa. Glad you could join us. Love the shelves behind you. There are new shelves in our new study. We are downstairs in our finished, specifically designed study. It is very, very nice to actually be downstairs, to be honest. Good morning, Maharet. Good morning from the top of your head. That's what I can see when I'm looking over the top of the screen. My husband's working like that. That's all I can see is the top of his head.
I can show you something else.
No, top of your head's fine. Thank you. Good morning, Trudy, from sunny Sinon Valleys. No sun down here. Well, obviously we've got sun because it's daylight, but it is really grey and dreary out there. But the garden has come alive. The cherry tree has started to blossom. We have violas blooming in the garden. The hellebor's still going, bless it. Daffodils are just starting to finish now, but everything seems to be coming alive. Aegeums are flowering like mad. We've even got a pelargonium flowering out there.
Yeah, two red, yeah.
It's all happening. Spring has arrived. Good morning, Andrea. Good morning, Charlie. Good morning, Karen. Shelves look amazing. Thank you. Yeah, I did realise that I've got an awful lot of books. Awful lot of books. Eva's peach trees are starting to bloom. Very nice. Christine, guess what? It's raining again in North Dorset. Yeah, I think there's rain in the air down here too, Christine. I suspect it's coming our way shortly. Good morning, Tess. Welcome, everyone. So very lovely to join with you again. And I can see there's an album cover looking at me. Who is it? Oh, it's Robbie Williams. His face is looking at me. It looks like there's someone sitting in the shelf, peeping their head out.
Not everyone has Robbie Williams looking at them.
No. I'm joined today by a guest star, Robbie Williams. The lower two levels of shelving are all Pete's vinyl collection and Robbie Williams. Nikki, having a cold spring, and up to yesterday we're having a warm autumn, but first frosty morning in New Zealand. This is the time of the year where you think spring has arrived and you get nice warm sunny days, and then the Kalak fights back and you get cold and frosty ones. So it's all a bit upside down at the minute. Lovely and sunny in Derby, although it chucked it down yesterday. Glad that it's sunny today. Lisa, 10 p.m. here. Cannot stop yawning. Go to bed, Lisa, go to bed. Thank you for joining me. Lurking, Robbie Williams. Yeah, it's a bit suspicious, isn't it? Maria's cold. Yeah, I'm still hot water bottles in the evening. Supposed to get warmer next week. Good.
You're welcome.
Good morning, E. Set myself up with a cup of tea and toast. Waiting for the stream. Set myself up with a cup of tea and toast at 9 a.m. and kept refreshing your page waiting for the stream, only to realise it was Thursday. Oh no, that was yesterday. But I'm glad you found us today. I do hope you got tea and toast today as well.
On the stream.
Xenia, good morning. Room looks fab. Thank you. Great t-shirt. Yeah, it made me laugh. Had to buy it. Unless you're a Trek fan. You've got to be a Trek fan to get it. Thank you, Tess. Christine, glorious blue skies in the northeast. Good morning, Nita. We like blue skies. Sue, dull and grey in Somerset, up with the most beautiful red sky in the morning. Oh, that's not good, is it? Red sky at night, shepherd's delight. Red sky in the morning, shepherd's warning.
What does a shepherd know?
What does a shepherd know? Probably a lot more than we do about the weather. Grey and wet in Switzerland. Cold, windy and rainy in northern Germany. It's that time of year, isn't it? Nita did the same looking for me yesterday. Fridays, people, Fridays. So welcome. I'm going to talk today at a request. Someone asked me to talk about crystal grids. So that's what I'm going to talk about. Good morning, Gemma. I do work with crystal grids quite a lot, although I tend to go freeform and follow my intuition. I don't often work from a pattern, but I was asked to have a look at the crystal grid boards and diagrams. So that's what I'll be working with today. Good morning, LJ. Love your my background. It's real. This is not a fake background, it's real. They are my shelves in my study. So yes, crystal grids, really good fun to work with, really powerful to work with, and you can use them for all kinds of subjects. They are really, really useful. And you can do anything with them, anything at all. So I'll show you the basics and how to work with the actual grids. Please, as always, ask any questions, share your insights, thoughts, experiences with them, and we'll learn together. And then I'll probably go a bit off-piste, as I do, and tell you how I work generally with crystal grids, because it's, I don't follow rules. Good morning, Leslie. Maria, the wind yesterday was crazy. It was, wasn't it? Had to hold on to my daughter as she wouldn't blow away. She's only a little tin ribs. Oh, that's it. There's something to be said for having a big butt. Mine. You don't blow away. Nikki, very excited about this. Just got husband a new chainsaw. Where's this going, Nikki? It's going to make crystal board with a recently toppled tree. Okay, I'm glad you finished that sentence. Good morning, Jane. You don't have to apologise for being late. Good. We don't make you stand in the corner or anything. Good morning, Barbara. Good morning, Gabrielle. Good morning, Carol. Maria. It's okay, I've been waffling. I did. Obviously, I was waiting for you to get here, waffling until then. No, I just waffle anyway. So I'm going to do real techie stuff now and get this up. There we go. So, look, no hands. Is that spooky? Is that a little bit weird? I'm just showing off because I've got two webcams. She says this is where one of them dies now. So this isn't a traditional board. it's just one that I liked. This was from Freya's Cauldron. They do have crystal grid boards and whatever the word is I'm looking for, fabric cloths, that's the word. This is just a piece of board, but very useful to use it as a crystal grid because you can move it about and it keeps them all in the place as well, and you've got your base diagram to work from. You can get cloths as well. You can also print them off the internet. I printed off quite a few different ones here. These are some of the more traditional ones, traditional shapes that you can work with. And these are from etimetaphysical.com. I will put the link when I do the blog because they've got lots of free ones for you to download. So you can just print them off on paper. You can even draw your own. They don't have to be printed off, but the boards work really well as a base to start from. Let's use one of the more traditional shapes. I'm going to go with one of these. This is quite a complicated one, and let's have a look at a simpler one too. Let's do those two. I just work with the pattern that you're drawn to. It doesn't really matter, and most of these are circles, but they don't have to be circles. You can do stars, you can do squares, you can do triangles, you can turn your phone off so that you don't get soft cell playing while you're talking. You can work with any shape that you want to. It doesn't have to be either of these. Jane's going to dig out her old... I remember Spirograph. They were really good. I liked that. Yeah, Christine's the same. It is Spirograph, isn't it? I loved that. Brilliant. The shape doesn't matter. This is why when I work with crystal grids, I usually just start with a tray, an empty tray, and I go intuitively. But let's have a look at these because I've been specifically asked to do. Stick to your theme. Stop going off track. You need an intent, obviously. So you need to decide what your intent for setting the crystal grid is. So let's have a go with a piece one, shall we? Because, could do with some of that. I'll do two variations here, a simple one and a complicated one. Your first stone needs to be the center stone. You need an anchor right in the center. Yes, Carrie, it was Tainted Love. My notification for emails is the first couple of notes of Tainted Love. All of my notifications and ringtones on my phone are 80s pop. I think the ringtone is a Jimmy Somerville one. So you need an anchor stone to start with. That is your first stone to choose. Now you can look up the meanings. You can look up stones that are associated or correspond to your intent. And there are obviously lots of books, lots of lists. I have my own Crystal Magic book. If you want to, have a look in that one. I tend to, again, go on intuition. So I'll get the intent in my head and then I will pick the crystal that goes with it. Celia says 80s heaven. Yeah, I didn't leave 1985, really. Still there. So start with your center stone. So have a look at your crystals, and you don't need hundreds and hundreds of crystals to be able to work with crystal grids. Literally just a handful of the cheap tumble stones will do you. You can even work the crystal grids with pebbles from your garden, from the ocean, from the riverbed. You can work with shells. It doesn't have to be really expensive crystals. In fact, tumble stones, I think, work better for the crystal grids because they tend to be smaller. Pebbles work well, shells work well. I tend to make crystal grids without crystals as well. I will make grids with natural items, with seed heads, with flowers, with herbs. Really, you can add in anything that you want to, that you feel drawn to. I've even added oracle cards, tarot cards in before. Now, business cards, if it's something to do with a specific person. It's a base that you can then make your own. Nikki took you back. Yeah, you got an earworm now. You'll be humming those couple of notes for the rest of the day now. So let's start with our center stone. I am literally just going to go with my intuition on this, but I must admit I like to use a slightly bigger stone in the center, and I nearly always head for a quartz because clear crystal quartz is such a good all-rounder, and it's also a really good one for projecting energy and channeling the energy, for getting things moving. So I'm going to get a quartz crystal out, and I literally pick one that I am drawn to. Look, there's a nice big rose quartz there. It's huge. You could use a tumblestone. It doesn't have to be an enormous crystal. What I'll do first is charge it. Charge it with your intent. Charge it with the energy that you want it to transmit. This is your anchor stone. This is going to tie the whole crystal grid together. So you really need to charge it with your intent properly. So all you need to do is hold it in your hands and channel that intent into it. Don't draw on energy from your inner self, because you will end up being absolutely shattered. You can draw energy from the sky, from the sun, from the moon, from the air around you, from the earth beneath your feet. Your body channels the energy. It does not supply it. So channel that energy into the stone. You can visualize your intent as you're doing it. You can even tell it if you want to, just speak out loud and tell the stone what you need it to do. So you're an anchor stone for peace. It is really that simple. And then place it in the middle. Let's work with a smaller one. I've got hay fever this morning. It's a bit wild. So I'm just going to pick a different one for the center of that one. Just a smaller tumblestone, because it doesn't have to be an enormous stone. So you charge it with your energy. Tell the stone that you need it to be an anchor stone for a peace crystal grid. And place it in the center. And then you can work outwards. This one obviously has got lots of different spots. Each of these spots has got different shapes because it makes up the pattern of the shape. So all of the triangles and the stars make a kind of inner hexagon. The squares and the open circles make up another hexagon shape. The solid circles are kind of an optional extra position for them. So there's lots of spaces on this one that you can choose to use or not use. It's up to you. Follow your intuition on that one. This one is really simple. You've literally got these points here that you can use, or the spaces in between. Trust your intuition on it. Crystal grids, I think, are one of the most intuitive things to work with. So let's do the complicated one first. So I'm going to go with some little quartz crystal stones and some rose quartz ones. So literally just charge each stone as you did with the center one. Got to tell the stones what to do, which is lovely for me because I like being bossy. Even if it's just crystals. Gives you that feeling of control. So let's charge the crystals. I don't know how many I need here. Literally charge the crystals, channel that energy into the crystals and tell it what you need it to do. Need you to be crystals for peace. Visualize the image that you want. It might be prosperity. It might be happiness. It might be healing. Doesn't matter what the intent is. It can be anything. Channel that energy into each crystal and visualize it as you do it. If you want to say a chant as you place the stones, you can do that as well. It is entirely up to you. So I'm going to place the stones around here. Again, you can say a chant. You can say it as you do it. Crystals for peace. And that's that layer. I'll put some of these little rose crystals over. Obviously, you don't normally do 2 crystal grids at once. charge the crystals, charge them with peace, charge them with your intent. If you've got any questions, if you've got any thoughts, if you've worked with crystal grids before and you want to put any insights, do pop them in the comments, as usual. Crystals for peace. Crystals for peace. Crystals for peace. And crystals for peace. There we go. You put this one up here. Can anyone else see Robbie Williams' face moving? It is just an album cover, I promise. It isn't actually Robbie Williams.
I'm going to start singing Angels in a minute.
Yeah, I don't. You can sing if you want to. We can remove Robbie Williams if he's disturbing you.
Take my bloody Robbie Williams out of my way.
I don't know what's behind it. What we got next?
It's Queen. Isn't it?
Queen. Queen's all right. There you go. That's Adam Lambert, isn't it?
Yeah, they're like one.
Big Queen. They are. Robbie has left the building. Barbara, love your take on gridding. Some folks you can make it really, really complicated, but you know, this is me. I don't see the point. At the end of the day, it is your intent, and your intent is layered with extra layers of power by the energy from the crystals. It doesn't need to be any more complicated than that, I don't think. So we'll do the next layer of crystals. Let's pick something else. Let's get some amethyst in here. Probably haven't got enough. I'd say you don't need to have, over 30 years I've collected an awful lot of crystals. You don't need hundreds of crystals to be able to build a crystal grid. You can do it with 3 or 4. Maria says it took a millennium for him to go. Very good. Susan, thank goodness he's gone. Not a fan. Oh no, he's a dude. He's a dude. Queen now. Well, Queen in a category of their own, really, aren't they? Alison, always thought they were complicated. Oh, yeah, they can be. You can make them seriously complicated, but I don't see why you would want to. It is really this simple. Jane, is it okay to use tiny crystals on a smaller grid? Absolutely. The ones you get from a bracelet. Yeah, I've got a couple of bracelets. In there. I have got a couple of the little crystal chip bracelets in my crystal collection. That would make brilliant crystal grids. This is a case where size doesn't matter. It really doesn't. The intent and the will and the power is within you. The crystal grid is just a way of channeling it and focusing it. Obviously, the energy of the crystals adds to the power of your intent, to the power of your spell. But really, it's all about you. It's all about here and keeping it simple. The webcam has frozen. That's useful. Let's take him off and put him back on again. Oh, technology, eh? Technology. Let's just faff about with the camera for a second. No, it's decided to die. Right, let us. Oh, your browser cannot access your devices. There's the thing. Bear with me. Talk amongst yourselves. Yes, tiny crystals. Absolutely. No problem whatsoever. I think the crystal chips from bracelets make brilliant crystal grids. So yes, absolutely. Let's get that one. Good morning, Kay. Size really doesn't matter. Christine, I had a George Michael CD, his face full on at the front on my bookshelf, came into the room in the dark one night, scared the life out of me. Yeah. Yes. I think I've mentioned before, my son was given a life-size cardboard cutout of Danny DeVito for Christmas. That thing appears all over the house and scares the bejesus out of all of us. Tess, other than creating your own, did you say we were able to get them from? If you do a Google search for crystal grid templates, there are lots of places you can get free downloads. When I do the blog post afterwards, I'll put a link to some of them. But if you do, just type into Google crystal grid templates. You can download them, or you can draw your own. You know, you can absolutely draw your own. Sue, thank you, Sue. It was your recommendation. Kay says some smallest crystals have powerful impact. Yes, I mean they're very expensive, obviously. Any size of crystal will have power. It really doesn't matter. It is a lot of it to do is the intent. Good morning, Irene. Emma, I know very little about crystals. Will that make a difference? Absolutely not. Every crystal has its own unique individual energy. Even I've got 2 amethyst tumblestones here. These 2 will, although they're both amethyst, will have different personalities. Each one will have a slightly different energy. They're like human beings. Each one's got its own personality. Each one's got its own characteristic. Each class of crystal has its traditional meanings. Amethyst, rose quartz. If you're buying new crystals and you want something that's a good all-rounder, stick with clear quartz, because clear quartz does everything. It's a really good all-rounder. But if you don't know the names of crystals, and I will admit, I have got a box in my collection here. I have a box of miscellaneous. These are crystals that I've got from various places, and I have no idea what they are. I still use them because I work intuitively. I'm drawn to whatever crystal shouts at me. So it doesn't matter if you don't know the name. It doesn't matter if you don't know the traditional properties. Work with your intuition. Your intuition will guide you to the right crystal. So absolutely not. Let's have a look. Always assumed you had to use crystal points to direct energy. Oh, we're coming to that bit. So I've never tried crystal grids as they can be pricey. We are coming to that bit. Finally, are you used to the broken marble beads? Yes, definitely. Absolutely. Although they might roll a bit, you'd have to carefully place them. I'm going to try and get another screen share up with a different camera. Technology, eh? Right, now that one's definitely not working. Let's try that one. Don't you just love it when technology doesn't work?
Well, the kettle's going to work.
It's not talking. It's not talking. Oh, look, there we are. Let's get that one down. Bear with me while I direct the camera to my desk. Precariously balanced. I got it all set up and I was so impressed that it was all working. Best laid plans and all that. Right, let's try that. It's a start. It's a start. Better than nothing. Right. Let's go back to some of these. Okay, clear quartz, great default crystal. It does. It picks up everything. It's really good for channeling. It's also really good for boosting other crystals as well. Helen, I've got a box like that where I can't for life remember what they are. Yep. Yes, I like to use colour correspondences. I work with Colour Magic an awful lot. And for this, it works really well. Yes, that is Ganesha. He's lovely. We like him. No, I've got a dodgy USB port, and I think it's just, it's just being funny. Yes, could be the crystals are working. No, it's the camera. I have got dodgy USB ports in the back of the computer. There you go. Technology. Just made a crystal grid for a huge project I've just undertaken. Can already feel its power. Excellent. Let you know if it works. If you don't mind sharing photos of it, we'd love to see photos. Although I do understand that not everyone wants to share them. That's absolutely fine. But yes, do let us know how you get on with it. Trudy, never used a grid, so I'm really intrigued. So happy it's about intuition. Oh, absolutely. Rather than overcomplicated grid system, always avoided them. It's Pete too. No, he's gone to make the tea. I think they should be really straightforward, which is why I make an awful lot of mine just on a dish, on a plate, or on a tray. I don't use a grid at all. I make my own grids. I do spirals, I do stars, I do snowflakes. I'm drawn to, by my intuition, to do whatever pattern. So you can literally, you could stick with that. That is all that you need. You don't need to put any more crystals on. It doesn't have to be any bigger than that. I have done a crystal grid that filled the whole dining room table before now, and I had crystals and I had incense and oracle cards and herbs, feathers, all sorts of stuff in it. It was very large and very complicated. It was great fun to do, and actually the Kitchen Witch girls and I have made it one as well together, which is always fun to do. We've done it an open ritual where we got everyone to bring something and put it in the crystal grid. They are powerful. They work really well, but it can just be as simple as that. It doesn't have to be any more complicated. And it can be any stones that you want. Literally randomly pick stuff. Get the idea in your mind. So I'm thinking peace. And I'm looking at all of my crystals here and thinking, what else can I add in there? And you don't have to have, I mean, I've put all the white ones round and all the pink ones round. You can mix it up. You can absolutely mix it up with whatever stones you want to. I'm just randomly opening drawers here in my box. Nothing's done out. It'll come in a minute. Moonstone. Let's chuck some moonstone in there. So again, put them where you feel they need to go. So I'm just going to put 4 on here, obviously charging them as you do it, charging them with your intent that you want them to work for peace or whatever your intent might be. You don't have to fill in all of the little dots. I'm just going to put those 4 there and leave that there. What else have we got here? Let's put some of that in. So I've got a couple of bits of lapis here, and I'm going to put them on there, charging them with my intent, with the intent of peace. I mean, I'm layering these up now, but as I say, you can stop there. It doesn't have to be any more complicated than that. Jane, if you go to a craft cafe, you can paint your own grid on a plate and get it glazed and fired. Nice. Excellent. Actually, if you've got tiles, I've got some tiles left over from our kitchen. If you've got kitchen or bathroom tiles, you can paint or draw crystal grids. I'm calling them crystal grids, but they don't have to have crystals in at all. You can make the grids with pebbles and stones. I've got too much on my desk for my cup of tea.
Eric
My Eric cup. It's my Eric cup. Yeah, I mean, I'm using crystals, but you can put all sorts of things in them. It doesn't have to be crystals. If I work with other things, I do focus on something that I know is going to be the anchor in the center. So if I don't use crystals, then I will often put a stone or a shell or something that I know that's got quite a lot of strength and power in the middle. That's the stone that's going to radiate the energy and connect them all together. But again, trust your intuition. Xenia. Oh, I do love laying spirals. Quite a lot of my crystal grids end up in spirals. Did this not with crystals? Outside with natural items. Yes, I do that all the time. Definitely. I have got a picture of the table one. I'll pop it in the comments afterwards. I'll dig it out. I will dig it out. Christine, love to see all the crystal floral herbs grid. Yes, Star Child do some amazing ones, don't they, with powdered spices as well, and they make images. Fascinating. Tests. So if you don't have many crystals at all, can use other things. As I say, you can make a crystal grid with 3-4 tumblestones. That's all it needs to be. It doesn't need to be any fancier than that. But you can, if you don't have lots of crystals, you can use pebbles, you can use shells, you can use feathers, you can use dried herbs, fresh herbs, flower petals, flower heads, seed heads, anything that's natural, that's got an energy that's going to transmit that energy, anything that's going to conduct the energy from one to the other. Because we've set this grid up, we haven't set it going yet. We'll do that in a second. Okay, I think you can do it on sand or salt. I have made quite a few where I've got a big tray and I filled the tray with sand or with seeds. I've done it with a tray full of sesame seeds before. It all works on sacred geometry, absolutely. Trudy, my imagination is racing now. Excellent. I'll find some images of other things that I've made with other ones and I'll pop them in the comments. They are. Star Child do some wonderful ones. If you have a look at Star Child's Facebook page, you'll see some of the images that they've done. Xenia loves the Eric mug. Yeah, bless him. Fast asleep under a blanket at the minute. See, you could even place your cup of tea in the centre to channel out the energy. Actually, cup of tea would be really good in the centre or around it for peace. Nothing better than a cup of tea to calm things down, is there? Sue, I'm doing a wood burning day soon. I'm going to make some. Excellent. And this one, I said, is a wooden one. And I mean, you'd put crystal in the centre and you could put crystals around the outside there. You could even put crystals on the runes that have particular meaning, to your intent. There are all sorts, the opportunities are limitless. The ideas are limitless. Yes, if you Google crystal grid patterns, as I say, there are lots of them, but I'll put some links in the blog anyway. So don't think Star Child is the same since it moved. It's got a different energy now, hasn't it? I can understand why they moved. They're in a more central position in the high street, bigger shop. But yeah, that beautiful door was lovely, isn't it? Yes, you can. As I say, I put all sorts of things in. I put business cards in if it's directed at a person as well. Photographs can be used as well. It's not limited to crystals. You can put whatever you want in there. I will add some photos afterwards of the ones where I've added all sorts of things in. Christine, my favourite grid is the shape of the Native American medicine wheel. Yes, I have worked with medicine wheel shapes before as well. That works really well. You can work with the grids with the compass directions, north, east, south, west, and the in-betweeny ones as well. That works really well because you can bring in the elements as well. You can work a crystal grid with all of the elements. Kerry, can you burn incense? I've done that too, Kerry. It works really well. If you place incense cone is better because the incense stick kind of hangs at an angle. Incense cone or loose incense in a dish I've done before in the centre. That works really well. Yes, excellent idea. Xenia, you do know the coffee grid for Somnia coffee lover. Big pot of coffee in the coffee machine in the centre, a pentagram coffee mug at every point. Coffee's brilliant for working with. I work with coffee, instant coffee generally, coffee beans if I can get hold of them, in magic quite a lot because coffee not only brings a physical boost of energy, but it brings a boost of energy to any of your magical workings. If you put some coffee in the centre of your grid, it would really boost the energy. Would it be okay to make a grid using a Ouija board? Probably not. I would probably avoid that. You don't want the spirits getting involved in your crystal grids. I like your thinking though. Okay, love the flower of life pattern. Yes, I have a tattoo of the flower of life on my arm. I have the flower of life. I think I printed off one of those or something like it. Yeah, there's a couple of different ones here. The Flower of Life one is used quite a lot in crystal grids. It's in the middle bit there because it works so well. Yep, an intention grid. Yes, absolutely, because that's what it is. Good description, Maria. It's your intent, it's your intention, boosted by crystals or by natural items, definitely. Could you do a crystal grid? Oh, absolutely. You can use these grids for anything that you want to. Let's show you how to finish these off before I go dismantling them. So you can add loads more to this if you want to. You can add other bits if you want to, or you can keep it simple. It is entirely up to you. You don't have to fill all the spaces. Trust your intuition. The grid is just a guideline. It's a guideline for helping you keep things in the right place and to show you the lines in between. Now, the traditional, for want of a better word, way of activating the grid is to use a crystal point. So a crystal with a point. That's why it's called crystal point. Thin ones, there's bigger ones. Actually, these bigger ones I found in the charity shop because they are quite expensive if they've got a point on, particularly the double pointed ones. So to activate the grid, you would take your crystal point or other things, which we'll come on to in a minute, because these are expensive. So you take your point and you start from the anchor stone. And you literally, it's like if you were setting everything on fire, which is what I go to, obviously, first. You have to join all these crystals together. Again, I would follow your intuition, but I start from the center one and I tap it with the crystal. And you can say something, you can visualize something, you can do a chant. But basically, you're telling the crystal to activate. Get your energy running. And then you can go to the next one upwards, tapping each one and activating each one. It's then up to you whether you want to come back to the center and then go out again. Come back to the center and go out again. Or particularly when I'm working the spiral, I'll start in the center and then I will go round, tapping each one and activating them. The crystal point acts as your activation thing. It's your match to light the flame, basically. However, it doesn't have to be a crystal point. It can be any other crystal that you want it to be. If you have a wand, it can be a wand. Copper wands work really well for this because they direct energy really well. But it can be any type of crystal at all. Just kind of randomly looking. I have a piece of anything really. Okay, it's a bit of lepidolite here. Literally, you can do it with that. And activate, tapping each one and telling it you need to activate it. But if you don't have any extra crystals, or if you don't have crystal points, if you don't want to use another crystal, use your wand. If you are working with natural items, you could use a stick, a twig, a seed head. If all else fails, use your finger. Your body channels the energy anyway, so just use it for that and activate them. You connect them. You're making a chain. You're making an electrical grid, if you like. So every crystal needs to be joined to the next one to help it to work. And that's your grid activated. Then it's up to you how long you want to leave it. If you've got it on a board, like these ones, you can very carefully lift it up and place it on your altar or somewhere out the way, and you can leave it to let it do its thing. If you've made a nature grid, which I quite often do out in the garden, I leave it and I let the wind and the rain sort it out. Obviously, if you are making nature grids and are using seed pods and flower heads and things, and you've got pets, keep them up out the way, or small children. The same actually, if you have cats at home, you might not want to leave your crystal grids out too long because cats like to interfere with them. But if you've got it on a board, you can lift it up out of the way and you can leave it for as long as you feel it needs. If it's for a particular intent, if it's for healing, say, you could leave it until the healing work is finished, until the person is feeling better. You can also recharge it. You can reactivate it. You can recharge it. you can leave it for minutes, you can leave it for hours, you can leave it for days. Trust your intuition and know how long it needs to be left for, and whether it needs a boost of energy part of the way through. So yeah, that's just answered your question, Sue. Yeah, I trust my intuition. You'll know when it's finished working. You'll know when it needs to be dismantled. Maria, would you cleanse the point? Yes, I would. Any time that I've worked with any of the crystals, when I've finished with these grids, the crystals all get cleansed again, so that they're fresh and ready for use next time. But yes, I would do the same with the crystal point. I would cleanse it as well. Jane, you could make a grid with a tiny model house in the middle and lots of panel pins pointing at it from the points on the grid, joined up with the clear quartz to boost intention to sell a house. That sounds like one of those boards that you see in sort of murder scenes and things where they've got all the pieces of string. Is that just me? Yes, you could. You could absolutely. Crystal grids work for any intent. We'll do a quick, you asked about protection one. I will cleanse all these afterwards. But you can do, actually this would work brilliantly for protection, because some of these symbols work really well for protection. You put a crystal in the center that you represent as your home, if that's what you want it for. And I would go with quite an earthy stone to represent your house. I'm just looking for something to leap out at me. I've got my boxes of crystals all out there. Here we go. So I would put in the centre a piece of fossilized wood, and that would represent your home. Tell it that it represents your home. Program this crystal piece of fossilized wood that it's your home. You're my anchor, you are my house, you are my home. And then I would actually build a ring of protection around it in this case. I'm going to go for jasper, actually. If hematite works well, but I can't work with hematite. It doesn't like me. Anything that is protective, any black stones as well work really well for protection. I'm looking at all of these stones, and there we go. I've got some tourmaline here. So protecting my house with the intent of protecting my house. And the same with the jasper. Charge the stones with the intent of protecting your house and place them on the board. And actually, you could leave it at that. 4 stones, 5 stones, 4 stones and a piece of wood. Sounds like a film title. That's all you need to do. It doesn't need to be any more complicated than that. You set them in place, you charge them with your intent, and then you activate them. So this is my anchor stone that represents my house. I'm going to activate you for protection. To bring protection to my house, I set you in motion. It's all it needs to be. If you want to add in other ones, you can. It's entirely up to you. You could add some more around the edge. They also don't have to match. I'm matching them in here, but they don't need to. They can be completely different stones, like that. Look, you can see I've got labels on. That's a guinea fowl jasper. I've got a label on it because I couldn't remember what it was. Use whatever you're drawn to use, and it can be that simple. You can also, let's get rid of these ones. Let's do a quick do our own one. So it might be that you want it for prosperity. Green Aventurine is my go-to for prosperity. So I am going to start with a piece of quartz crystal in the middle. Little tumblestone in the middle. Charge that with prosperity. Money, abundance, wealth. I'm literally just going to do it with Green Aventurine. Charge them with the idea of prosperity, and then you place them. Follow your intuition. It doesn't even have to be a particular shape. I'm going to do a spiral for this one. Each time you put one down, visualize money coming your way. Say out loud if you want to, prosperity and abundance, wealth coming to me. Fast cash on the way. And that's all it needs to be. And then with a spiral, I would activate the center one and then literally activate them all in a spiral, one to the other, one to the next. And that's just one without an actual grid that you've designed yourself. It's entirely up to you. Sorry, missed some comments now. Let's go back. Christine, like the idea of letting your cat create a crystal grid too. Could be fun. If you make a nature grid with seeds outside, the birds and squirrels would eat it without. But actually, to me, that is the crystal grid working. That's Mother Nature coming together. That's you building a grid to set the energy in motion, to set your intent in motion. And then that's offerings. That's offerings to Mother Nature at the same time. So if you've set your grid up and you feel a few hours later, a couple of days later, it needs a boost of energy, I just reactivate it again. Recharge the stones. Reaffirm your intent to the anchor stone and then reconnect them all. It is really that simple. Okay, you could make your own wand that's dedicated to activate each grid. Yes, you could. Absolutely. You could have a wand that is specifically for that. Monopoly houses would work really well in the centre, wouldn't they, for a house? That would be brilliant. Jane, love the idea of using fossilised wood to represent the home. This is about intuition. I had no idea that I was going to be doing that. I looked at my crystals and that was the first one that jumped out at me to represent my home. It made sense to me. You have to trust your intuition. Maria, can't wear hematite or kyanite. Kyanite I'm fine with. Hematite I can't wear. Hematite to me feels like I've got the entire world on my shoulders. Yeah, not good. Again, each crystal has its own personality and its own characteristic. Just as you don't get on with every person, you won't get on with every crystal. And then on the flip side, there will be some that you love and that you really connect with. Okay, Apache tear, obsidian, pyrite, black tourmaline, all really good for protection. Pyrite, I work more with on a success, luck, wealth, abundance kind of thing, but it has to work for you. It has to work for you. Christine, kyanite is a natural crystal cleaner and hematite is a grounder. Hematite is very grounding. For me, it is too grounding. It makes me feel really oppressed. It's just a personal thing. Hematite, it is quite heavy. Even put one tiny hematite chip into an amulet and I feel, ooh, yeah, it is quite a heavy one. Shungite is a very good stone as well. There's loads of them. There are so many. Jane, spiral speaks to me a lot more than diagrams do. It will be personal. It will be very, very personal. And I've created, it might not look like a spiral, but it is. You can print off a spiral template from the internet too, or draw one, just to give you a guideline if you want to. Yes, Kerry, I do. I do charge each crystal, separately or otherwise. I mean, when I had these ones, so if I know that I'm putting all of those on, I will probably charge them together in my hands like that. But then I will repeat the intent as I place each one down. Focus and visualize that intent for each one individually. But if you've got a group of them, and you can charge them together in your hand. Maria's not good with Shungite. I don't mind that one. I'm all right with that one. But again, it's very personal, very individual. Xenia. Shungite got a headache. It's all personal. Hematite felt too heavy. Yeah, it is a really, really grounding stone. So it will make you feel, and if you don't want to be tied down or oppressed, perhaps that's why it has that effect on me, that I can't deal with it. I've also found that sometimes I have a so-called season of the grid design I'm using. They are so versatile. You can work with them for the seasons. You can work with them with the elements. You can work with them with the directions. They are so versatile. You can do all sorts of things with them. And as I say, it doesn't have to be crystals. You can add pebbles in there. You can add feathers. You can add dried herbs. I've even done them with foods, so you can have, cheese. be like a charcuterie board. You can have kind of a meze, a meze board with a grid. I had a student that did one on a pizza, so they did the topping of the pizzas as a grid. You can work with all sorts of things. The idea is that it is a grid that has items on that have their own energy. You charge them with your energy on top of that, and then you set it in motion. It's like flicking the electric switch. So you join it all together so that all of the energy flows and it sets your intent into motion. Maria, they also draw out negativity of others I found. Yeah, that's probably affects you as well. Tess, for prosperity, what else could you use if no crystal? Pennies. If I'm working prosperity with coins, I tend to use silver coins, 5p's, 20p's, whatever you've got. I think silver for me says abundance and wealth more than copper does. But again, it's entirely up to you. But yes, coins work really well. You could make an entire grid just with coins. That would work really well. But again, if you've got stuff in the kitchen, spices work well. I've made crystal grids. I've made grids that have included cloves, nutmeg, star anise. Anything that you've got, you can use. Everything works with the energy. It is just putting that grid into motion. Jane, hematite is okay for people who need chiros to keep them grounded. Yeah, that's exactly what it does. But haven't made a cake grid before. That would be something worth looking into, wouldn't it? Nikki, is there a way to boost the grid drawing itself before putting the items on? I've never felt the need, because for me, the grid is just a template. For me, the grid is just to tell you where to put things. But you could bring some colour magic into it. If you're working a prosperity grid, you could draw the lines with green or gold to bring colour magic into it. You could use coloured paper. So if you're doing a healing one, you could use a blue piece of paper and draw the grid in blue lines. If you associate blue with healing, I do. That's just how it works. So you could bring colour magic into it with coloured paper or the colour of the grid itself. Absolutely, yeah. Pizza magic, yeah, pizza magic's good. Kerry, can you? Yes, absolutely. In fact, if you Google chakra grids, you'll get lots of templates that you can print off with that. And rune symbols, let's just... That one's got rune symbols on it. So you could place your crystals on the rune. In fact, you could make a grid using rune stones as well if you wanted to. But yeah, you could work your crystal grid in the middle and place crystals on the runes. That symbolise your intent, definitely. 92-year-old. Hi, Beryl. Listening in the background. Oh, I am a giggler. Yeah. Yes. You will never ever have to edit any of my broadcasts because of profanities. You'd have to edit out all the giggles. Edit out the giggles and the talk would be half the length. You could. A grid with buttons would be brilliant, Maria. You know how I feel about button magic, and there is a separate talk on button magic. Buttons are really magical. You could work buttons as pennies to represent prosperity. You could bring in colour magic as well, making grids with buttons. That would be brilliant. Ice gems. Oh, I used to eat those at school. You eat the ice bit off first and then you eat the biscuit. Glitter grid. Now, I have sprinkled stuff over the grids before now when I finished with them. If you want to give it a boost once you've done your grid, sprinkle it with cinnamon, sprinkle it with pepper, sprinkle it with chili flakes, anything that's going to boost it, that's going to boost that energy. Absolutely, you could sprinkle stuff. And if you want to sprinkle glitter, you go for it. There is obviously, because you've got the sacred geometry, so all of these patterns do have their own energy because they work on sacred geometry, whether it is a hexagon or a pentagram or whatever it might be. Eva, my daughter's name is Beryl. No, it's not a common name these days, is it? It is a nice mineral. Xenia, you could also use one rune or bind rune painted on a piece of paper. Yes, and place 2 crystals on every edge or point of the rune drawing. That would work really well. Absolutely. You could do it with a sigil as well. If you've drawn a sigil, you could boost that. I just happen to have one here. I was doing something else. So if you've got a sigil, you could place crystal. This is a bit small, but you could place crystals on the points, each point of the sigil, just to boost the energy. That would work really well. Cakes and ice gems would be eaten. Do the grids have to stay flat, or can you make them so they can be hung up? I don't see why not. Obviously, you'd have to stick them or sew them or something, because if you pick it up, they'd all slide off. Yes, I don't see why not at all. Okay, no problem at all. Glitter would be fairy or mermaid energy. Depends if you deal with glittery fairies or not. Penny, try it with my charm cast book. Perfect. Recognise the runes on your wooden board, but what are the big sigil-like symbols in the centre? Yeah, ask me a question I don't know the answer to. These are all Norse symbols, so I'm not actually familiar with all of them. I do think that this one is about protection because I have got it tattooed on me somewhere. Yeah, there is tattooed on me somewhere. It's in there. That one is about protection. I'm not familiar with the Norse symbols, but they do all have meaning. I just don't know what they are, Jane. I just like the board. Not that I even work with runes, actually, but sometimes you have to trust that you're drawn to things for a particular reason. So that any questions, ask, but that it can be so simple. Literally, you can have a crystal grid that looks like that. That's all it needs to be. It doesn't have to be any more complicated than that. It really doesn't. Just make sure that you charge each one individually. Tell it what your intent is. Pay particular attention to the anchor stone because that's the one where your energy is, base energy is going to come from. Connect them and let them do their thing. Do remember to cleanse them afterwards because you can then reuse them. Various ways of cleansing different crystals. Water, as long as they're not water soluble. Pass through incense smoke. Visualize white light, lots of different ways to cleanse crystals, which you can find in my crystal magic book. And you don't have to have loads of stuff. And you can use anything. You can use anything. It doesn't have to be crystals. A rake would be handy for protection. Kerry, it's the runic compass, protecting and not getting lost, always finding your way home. Thank you. I knew there was protection involved in it somewhere. That makes perfect sense. Maria, need a new tattoo. Every time I want to get it sorted. Maybe there's a reason for that, Maria. Don't know what it is, but there must be a reason for that. Could you crystal grid something like your grimoire? Yeah, I don't see why not. You could put it in the middle or even do the crystal grid on the top of it, on the top of your grimoire. Don't forget to put the link to. I will put that in the blog post. Absolutely. Can you use a tarot card? Yes, I've used tarot cards and oracle cards in my grids before. Absolutely. But yes, that would work very well. You mean actually using the tarot card as the base for your crystal grid? Yeah, that would work very well indeed. Xenia, thank you. It's Vegvisir, Icelandic magic symbol. I'm not even going to say that word. From medieval Icelandic grimoire with a featured full. Yes, I knew these were runes. I knew these were Norse symbols. I have got this hanging up as a house protection. So, brilliant. Yep. For not getting lost or whatever way or travel you are. There you go. Learned something today as well. I'm not going to remember those words, but I've learned the meaning. So that's really it. Keep it simple. Unless you want to get complicated, it's entirely up to you. Print off the grids, use the boards, use a plain background. I love the idea of using tarot cards, oracle cards as your base. A kitchen breadboard works really well. A tray works really well. A dinner plate works really well. Just a base to hold it together. Draw your own grids or just go intuitively. You can use 2 crystals. You can use 102 crystals. You can bring in herbs. You can bring in spices. You can bring in natural leaves, seed heads. It's entirely up to you. Just making sure I've missed no things. Believe you'll know at the time what to use. Yes, absolutely. You will, Maria. Spot on. Be drawn to whatever you need to use at the time and what you feel needs to be added. Even if you're sitting there doing your grid and you think, oh, I need to add chocolate buttons. It'll be there for a reason. Chocolate has its own magical properties, so it will be there for a reason. So absolutely. I will do a blog with all the information and all the links. But have a go. And I'd love to see your photos of your own designs and your own creations if you're happy to share. Share them in the comments or pop them over on the Kitchen Witch Coven Facebook page. That would be fun. Thank you. Nikki, are you having a day off Easter next Friday? No, I will be here next Friday. Yep, I will be here next Friday. No problem. Just making sure. Thank you. Yes, gridding seems to be the buzz right now. They are really, really useful things to work with. Chocolate buttons don't last on long in any grid. Do be careful if you're putting chocolate or food on your grids if you've got pets or small children. Kerry, thank you for simplifying something which has always come across as complicated. Oh, it does absolutely not have to be either of those things. In fact, I think they work better if it isn't. So, you know. You're very welcome, Sue. Thank you for suggesting it to me. If anyone's got any other topics or subjects you'd like me to talk about, as long as I know about it, I won't be talking about Norse symbols because I don't know about those. But if there's anything else you'd like to me to talk about, just let me know and I will do my very best. Have a fun weekend. Have fun with your crystal grids and your natural item grids and your food grids. I look forward to seeing all the photos. Thank you so much, everyone. Emma is going to make my own on a cheese board. See, I thought you were talking about a cheese and cracker board grid. Now that would be yummy. Yes, pyrography and cheese or bread boards work really well. Leslie, never worked with the grid before, thought it would be complicated. No, got to keep these things simple. Some make my head spin. Have a Reiki crystal grid. Only used it once. Now I'm on it. Yep. Do you know more about hagstones? There is a blog and a talk about the magic of stones. I will find the link for you, Carol. No problem. Thank you, everyone. Sorry, I was just checking all the comments there to make sure I hadn't missed anything. Have a fantastic weekend, and I will see you all next week. Thank you for joining me.